Acid reflux, GERD, and LPR, also known as silent reflux, can be incredibly challenging to manage, and the internet is full of advice. But what if I told you some of the most popular advice out there for acid reflux might actually be worsening your symptoms or could be harmful for your progress? Today, I'm exposing 4 acid reflux myths that the internet is lying to you about when it comes to acid reflux nutrition, what you should eat, supplements, things that you should take or not take, as well as the long-term effect of reflux on your body. Make sure that you stick around for myth number 4 because this one is one of the most controversial takes on reflux out there. Before we dive in, my name is Molly. I'm a registered dietitian and master of nutrition science, specializing in reflux, GERD, LPR. In my practice, Flora Nutrition, we have helped hundreds of people recover from reflux, be able to reintroduce their favorite foods, and find long-term healing. So I started this YouTube channel to share evidence-based tips to help you overcome your reflux. So make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and the notification bell so you don't miss a video. Let's dive in. Here's the first myth that I see all over social media.
Processed food out of your diet. You want to get liquid dairy out of your diet. You never want to drink milk. Milk is for baby cows. It's not for humans, or it's definitely not for grown humans. And you want to get all the grains out of your diet, including rice, oatmeal, corn, wheat. Any of those guys are going to be inflammatory to your gut, and they're going to lead to weight gain, and they're also going to lead to inflammation in the gut.
This is probably the most common myth that I hear and the one that drives me the most crazy. While I agree that removing processed foods or limiting processed foods in your diet can be a helpful approach when it comes to reflux, the blanket statement that everyone with reflux should avoid gluten, dairy, corn, and grains is absolutely not true. When it comes to reflux nutrition, it's just not that simple. I do think that pausing the reflux triggers like tomatoes, spicy foods, carbonation, caffeine, alcohol, all of these reflux trigger foods, I actually have a separate video on titled The Worst Foods for Acid Reflux. So you can check that out to see exactly which foods I do recommend avoiding if you're struggling with acid reflux. However, we have helped hundreds of people recover without having to remove gluten, dairy, corn, oats, soy. These are simply not triggers for everyone, and there's actually no hard evidence that these foods increase inflammation in your body. In fact, when you look at the research on dairy, these claims that are being made about grains causing inflammation, dairy causing inflammation are not substantiated in research. You'll hear this all over the internet because the functional medicine space is an echo chamber. If enough people say a statement, it makes it feel like it's true, but there's actually no research behind that. In fact, most of the research on dairy and whole grains like oatmeal show that they actually can help reduce inflammation and inflammatory markers. Whole grains like oatmeal, quinoa, wild rice, these can be an amazing way to add nutrition to your meals. They are going to give you B vitamins and fiber, which are 2 nutrients that are lacking in most people's diet. I want to point out that everyone does have unique triggers. So if you're noticing that grains are a trigger for you or carbs in general, this actually might point to a deeper root cause of your acid reflux. Many people who come to us who are struggling with carbs may have something called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or another gut imbalance issue that we need to address so that you can find long-term healing without having to remove a million different foods. That brings me to the next reason why this is a super flawed statement. Removing 100 different foods from your diet could lead to physical and emotional damage. Let me explain what I mean. So many of our clients come to us having removed all of the reflux triggers, but then they've also removed gluten, dairy, soy, eggs, the list goes on and on. And when you remove so many foods from your diet, it makes for an extremely limited selection of foods. And this causes a lot of fear and anxiety around food, which can send your nervous system into fight or flight whenever there's a food situation or whenever you're invited to dinner or any sort of social engagement with food. This repeated response of anxiety around food can harm your digestion because when you're in the fight or flight response, your body actually down-regulates your digestive juices and blood flow moves away from your stomach. Your digestion is basically deprioritized when you're anxious. So in this way, we see food anxiety and restricting a ton of different foods really harmful for digestion and harmful for long-term progress. It can lead to isolation as well, which because you're saying no to a lot of different engagements or social events with food, and then that isolation can further worsen your health. As humans, we're simply not meant to be isolated, and connection and community is so important for healing. So having some flexibility with food is actually really important for your healing journey. We have seen more benefit from actually adding more foods into our clients' diets than removing them. And I'm not trying to put down other practitioners. I just think it's really important that you know that your nutrition is not one size fits all. There's a reason that us as dietitians, we go to school for 6 years to study nutrition. It's just not that simple and straightforward. The other reason why removing all of these foods from your diet could be harmful is that you're getting lower diversity of foods in your diet. We know from research that a diversity of fibers, which grains contain, whole grains contain fiber. This helps to nourish a healthy microbiome. We need a diversity of foods to support a diverse and robust collection of microbes in your gut. We are actually more bacteria cells than human cells. And so your gut microbiome really, really matters. And your gut microbiome can impact the way you digest. So the main takeaway here is that over-restricting your diet can actually be harmful. There's no real research to suggest that you should remove dairy, grains, oats, etc. from your diet. If you're experiencing symptoms with dairy, gluten, grains, this could indicate a food sensitivity or even another underlying gut issue that we need to address so you can find long-term relief. So personalization is key. Try to be weary of cookie cutter diets that seem really black and white, because that is a red flag. Let me know in the comments if you've eliminated dairy, eliminated grains, and you've seen a difference in your reflux. It would be interesting to hear from you guys. What has been your experience? Okay, let's dive into myth number 2.
Uninflammatory diet, like a low carb, high fat, or a ketogenic diet. Some people even notice that they have to go carnivore to get completely rid of their terrible heartburn.
The carnivore diet has gained a lot of traction in the last year or so, and it's pretty controversial. Now, when you're dealing with reflux, one really important thing to keep in mind is that fat slows your gastric emptying. So a high-fat diet means that food is going to empty slower from your stomach. For someone with slow stomach emptying or gastroparesis, this can actually be really, really challenging. A high-fat diet can also temporarily loosen the lower esophageal sphincter. Excess fat at a meal impacts the way the sphincter closes and can decrease the pressure of the sphincter, allowing reflux to move up into the esophagus. I personally don't recommend a high-fat diet to those with reflux. I haven't necessarily seen that as a helpful approach in the short term or in the long term. The reason a lot of people do get relief, potentially in the short term, from a low-carb, high-fat carnivore diet is because they're removing all fermentation. When you remove fruits and vegetables and grains, there's less fermentation in your gut, and that gas and pressure is drastically reduced that you might have been experiencing previously. Sometimes that gas and pressure from fermentation can contribute to reflux. However, that gas and pressure is normal. However, that fermentation process of bringing fiber into the body, and carbohydrates contain fiber, that fermentation produces short-chain fatty acids, which help to decrease inflammation, and then also lifts up the healthy bacteria in your gut microbiome. Your microbiome feeds on fiber, and so when you remove the fiber and the carbs from your diet, this can reduce the fermentation, but also reduces the growth of healthy bacteria. A lot of people who are struggling with small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or large intestinal dysbiosis issues, they may have excess fermentation, and that's because there's an overgrowth of certain pathogenic bacteria in their microbiome, either in the small or the large intestine. So again, if you feel better on a carnivore diet or on a low-carb diet, this might point me to think maybe we need to treat an underlying gut imbalance here. Also, when people switch to a new diet, such as the carnivore diet, usually they're removing a lot of processed foods, and that can actually help people. Reducing processed foods, focusing more on whole foods, that could help someone potentially feel better. Meat also contains vitamins, so zinc, selenium, B12, and if we're replenishing these vitamins, people can feel a lot better. So that can be another reason why people feel better on the carnivore diet. But usually people feel better initially, and then eventually without any fiber, without any carbs, they're dealing with unplanned weight loss, they're dealing with constipation, and then we're not getting that fiber to really boost and nourish our gut microbiome health long term. So it's kind of a quick fix and not necessarily addressing the root cause of the reflux. I want to circle back to the unplanned weight loss. So in this same video, he mentions that everyone with reflux should lose weight and that's really important. And we actually see the opposite in our practice, more so than reflux being a result of being overweight. We actually see a lot of people who are chronically under eating and the reflux has gotten worse because they have been under fueling for years, or under fueling and unplanned weight loss is secondary to their reflux. So they've experienced a ton of weight loss because their diet has been so restrictive and they've been having trouble nourishing their bodies with the disease. So for someone that has had unplanned weight loss and you've lost a ton of weight because of your reflux, going carnivore, going low carb might actually not be a great idea because you're restricting your carbs that can lead to ketosis, weight loss, etc. So that sort of blanket statement makes me really nervous as a dietitian because there are a lot of people with reflux who are very underweight and do not need to lose more weight, and they would benefit from expanding their diet versus restricting. So instead of jumping to extremes, we really do want to find a balance in your nutrition. I personally, here at Flora Nutrition, again, we have helped hundreds of people recover, and we focus on a high protein, whole food based Mediterranean style nutrition plan. So we're not emphasizing high fat, moderate fiber, moderate carbohydrates, focusing on proteins to restore those vitamins and minerals that might be low because of years of taking a PPI or an H2 blocker. Buckle up, everyone, because myth number 3 is extraordinarily controversial.
So you got some acid reflux. Could simply just be having a problem where you don't have enough actual acid in your stomach to be able to break down the foods you're eating. What you want to do is you want to add in something like betaines with HCI. What that's going to do is that's going to help build up the stomach acid so it stops.
Okay, so the idea that everyone's reflux is caused by low stomach acid is absolutely false. Now, of course, there's going to be people who have low stomach acid, and that is contributing to indigestion, acid reflux, constipation. There is a group of people where that is true, but there's also a huge group of people where their reflux has nothing to do with stomach acid production. It could be a malfunctioning lower esophageal sphincter, or even in the case of bile reflux, a malfunctioning post-pyloric sphincter. It could be contractility issues with the stomach, slow motility, slow stomach emptying, a hiatal hernia, which is causing the sphincter to malfunction, could be nervous system dysregulation, even hormone issues or liver issues. So the list goes on and on. It's just not that simple that everyone with reflux has low stomach acid. And this drives me nuts because taking betaine HCl or taking apple cider vinegar can actually be dangerous. If someone is actually an overproducer of stomach acid in the context of an early H. pylori infection or a stress ulcer, this could be really harmful and can cause tissue damage. I've had a lot of clients come to me who saw this recommendation on the internet and actually caused even more of a flare and caused tissue damage. And that's really sad because then we have to reverse that and it can take even longer to heal those tissues. So great if apple cider vinegar helps you, awesome if betaine HCl helps you, but you need to make sure that you're doing this very, very carefully with a trusted healthcare practitioner because these can be dangerous if your root cause is not low stomach acid. And my point of view here is that even if you do have low stomach acid, taking an acid supplement is not a long-term solution. I'm more interested in figuring out why your body would not be producing enough stomach acid. Two of the major root causes of low stomach acid is number 1, chronic stress, long-term chronic stress, unresolved trauma. This can downregulate your body's endogenous production of stomach acid. Number 2 is nutrient deficiencies. If you don't have enough zinc, protein, B12, this can decrease your body's ability to produce adequate stomach acid. And while it may sound like a quick fix, taking acid supplementation doesn't necessarily fix the root cause of the problem, which can be fixed through nutrition, lifestyle, and consistency. We need to be consistent with the things that we're implementing, whether it be nutrition or daily nervous system support, in order to see results here. Quick fixes marketed for reflux are also another trap, and you'll see them all over the internet. If you've tried HCl or apple cider vinegar, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about your experience. All right, lastly, myth number 4, let's check this one out.
And this represents one of the most controversial and difficult answers. Barrett's esophagus is considered to be a form of esophageal precancer. It is reversible.
So Barrett's esophagus is a condition where the cells of the esophagus have been damaged from acid reflux and they are now considered precancerous. And a lot of GI doctors will tell you that this is not reversible, there's nothing you can do about it, all you can do is take a PPI, and this is absolutely not true. So Dr. Jamie Kaufman, who you just saw, she is a pioneer in the reflux space, and she has been working in the reflux space for decades, and she has seen that you can reverse Barrett's esophagus. We have also seen in our practice time and time again that people come to us with Barrett's in their endoscopy, and then months later or even a year later, they get their repeat endoscopy and the Barrett's is gone. This damage is now reversed, and this is possible with consistent nutrition and lifestyle changes. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen through fad diets or even acid supplementation, but it's possible to heal those tissues and restore the health of your esophagus to prevent cancer, to prevent further damage. If you're ready to take your reflux knowledge even further and start your true reflux relief journey, make sure you check out my recent video on the top 5 things people with reflux should never ever do. Make sure you watch this one and all the videos in my reflux relief playlist. I've had tons of emails from you guys saying that you healed your reflux just by watching my YouTube videos, which is so amazing. And I am so grateful that you're here. If you're new, be sure to comment below, like this video, subscribe so you don't miss a video. I release weekly videos to help you optimize your gut health, prevent reflux, and find long-term relief so you can take control of your health. I have a free acid reflux meal plan as well down below in the description of this video, so make sure you don't miss that. And thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video.